Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Randy Dyck here on the Return on Life podcast. And today I am on a high. It's almost like a hangover high from a great week. It is Friday, and normally I do these on Thursday, but it is Friday today, and I'm just coming off an amazing week where I spoke at 3 separate events and met some incredible agents. And these agents are just entrepreneurs. They're people like you, like me, that have found their way, a path in this thing called real estate. And it could be any path. It could be any business. But as you know, any entrepreneur is resourceful, and of course they tap into their authenticity or their genius in order to be something special in whatever field they're in. And really, that's what I want to share today. I want to share about authenticity and the genius that is in each and every one of you, in me. And that's what makes it really special, when we can tap into our genius and then use our genius to make something special for others. And it's really about giving back to others. That is the special piece. And God created us all pretty unique, pretty interesting in our own way. And I was privileged to share. I was privileged to interview many great people over these 3 events and be part of some great things. And one of them was an NHL goaltender, which I've had on my podcast before, Eddie Lack. Eddie's an incredible dude, incredible agent that is working the Scottsdale market, and he does some fabulous things for a lot of people. But, we had him on stage, and he just came across so genuine, so authentic. And yet he struggles in areas, and he was very open to say, I struggle in areas. But this was a really cool thing. And I'm going to talk about other agents too, but I'm going to start with Eddie first and just share some of the things and the takeaways from that conversation that we had at a fireside chat on stage. And, we talked about him, that he reached out to me taking a phone call. Can you believe this? He picked up a phone call from an unknown number out of Canada. He didn't know who was calling him. I had a cold calling company actually call on my behalf to meet with some agents in the Scottsdale area, and he just happened to be one of them. And he's one of the few people that actually picked up the phone. Hey, do you pick up your phone? Think about that. You see a number and you don't know it. Do you pick it up? Come on, be serious. You should be picking up every call. I know there's a lot of spam calls. There's a lot of AI generated calls out there, but you got to pick up a call. This business that we're in, whatever business you're in, is about connecting, communicating, and serving others. Pick up the call. And so Eddie picked up the call, and of course it turned into something really special. I got to connect and be with him. We had a great breakfast, and next thing you know, we've created a friendship and a relationship that is much deeper than just business, but it is all because he picked up his phone first and foremost. But then, throughout our conversations and what I've gotten to know about Eddie is that he is a serial underdog, much like myself. And I asked Eddie, come on, an underdog? You're one of only 64 people in the world that played in this league called the National Hockey League. And think about that. Only 64 people out of the entire world get to play that position on a yearly basis. What does that mean? And yet you say you're an underdog. And he says, yes, I was never the best player on any team. I was often 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th best player. And I had to work for everything. And it was the underdog spirit within him, that DNA, which was so powerful. And we're going to talk about the DNA in a bit, because that is a really cool piece of what makes us all and helps us to make moves. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit. But it was that underdog spirit that helped him become the player that he was, and it helped him become one of 64 players in the world that could play that position on any given night in the big stage of the NHL. So that was just a really cool takeaway that he gave us at the Dominate event that we held. And And that was just one of the things. But there's many questions that I did ask, and one of them was, what makes you authentic? What makes you unique? Why would somebody use you? And he said, well, I'm just real. I just want to serve and help people. And it was nothing about his, past or even present. It's just how do I help people in the future? The other thing we talked about was that, just being that real person. And when you don't know, you don't know. And let me find out was the other piece. But what I found was really cool about what Eddie shared, and this was just an organic share. If you've met Eddie before, or if you've seen him speak, he does have a bit of a stutter, and yet he owns that stutter. He just goes, "That's who I am." Like, take me for who I am, and I'm so cool with it. In fact, this is the piece that I want you to know, is that your genius, whatever it is, ADHD, stuttering, you're short, you're this, you're that, whatever you think is your thing that holds you back or that you struggle with, is your genius. It is your absolute genius. And I want you to own your genius, because when you know your genius and you're comfortable within your genius is your superpower. It's a prima power within you. And Eddie just takes it full on. He says, this is who I am. I stutter. I'm okay with that. And I got no problems with that. And it is absolutely his genius. It is in his DNA. Now, I want to talk a little bit about DNA while we're on this topic of that underdog DNA. And by the way, every underdog, and by the way, every one of us is a version of an underdog. And if you don't think so, you just haven't dug deep enough to understand that you are an underdog. Trust me, you are an underdog. And there's something that's come along, an adversity has come along that you have fought through, and you never quite thought about it being that's your underdog DNA helping you fight through that adversity. And now that you've fought through it once, you have more capacity to fight the next and the next and the next. And that is really the DNA that is within you, that underdog DNA. Now, what does DNA really stand for? Well, we can say it's the DNA of who I am. It's that 24th chromosome. That's that thing that is predisposed of who I am, and it's who makes me up. But I'm going to say the DNA, use it this way. When you think of the DNA, it's decisive next action. DNA, decisive next action. And this is the difference between people that are performers in this business, what we call real estate, in any business, any top performer, top producer, a goalie that goes to, the NHL, one of 64 NHL goaltenders. It's the decisive next action. And that's the difference between top performers. They make decisions. They don't just think on it. They don't pause. They don't procrastinate. I'll maybe get to it next week. I'll be better next week. I'm going to be better right now. Decisive next action. DNA. Get it. DNA. Get it. Decisive next action is doing something now. And I just encourage you to think about that. Be a cat. We talked about that at the conference too. Be curious, ambitious, tenacious. C-A-T. But DNA is decisive next action. And performers know that they got to perform. It is now. Let's go get it now. Decisive next action. What are you going to do now? And so that is something that was a real great takeaway from the conference as well. Top producers take action. Are you somebody that's going to take action today? Think about it. Stop procrastinating. By the way, procrastination is one of those really interesting things too. Maybe I should use a different word than stop procrastinating. Stop thinking and overthinking about something. Procrastination is maybe a better way to describe procrastination is doing something you don't want to do. Doing something you don't want to do. And maybe that something that you don't want to do is not in your passion lane, your value lane, so to speak. And when it isn't something that you struggle with, that you love to do, that you're obsessed with, you don't procrastinate on those things. So here's another really good takeaway from the conference was do the things that really motivate you, that really drive you, that are in your passion lanes. And this is what I speak about all the time when I talk about my coaching and all my coaching clients is, listen, find your genius. Find your genius, that quirkiness, that weirdness, that thing that drives you, that you're passionate about. Be in that area, and then all things happen because you're not going to pause, procrastinate, overthink, because it is who you are. It's in your DNA, and decisive next action takes place because of it. So work it, run with it, and do it. And so you'll think about procrastination differently. If you're procrastinating on something, go find the who that can help you with the how. Go find the who that can help you with the how to do that. Because if you're not, all over it and you're not loving it, that's probably something that you're just not gifted at. It's not in your DNA. It's not in your value lane. It's not in your passion lane. Make sense? Yes, makes sense. So that was another great takeaway from our conference and for what we walked our way through over the time that we had at the conference. So that was a couple takeaways that I took from Eddie, and it was just really, really awesome. The one piece I want to just make sure on is about the team. He talked about team and how important team is. And of course, being on a professional hockey team, it is all about the team. You're not just one. There's many, many people that go in getting wins and, of course, winning championships. And so he talked about his championship team, and he surrounds himself with great people because he knows he's only good at a few things. He's only good at playing goal. He can't score goals. He's got to stop it. So same thing in whatever business you're in, whatever game it is. You need to have a great team around you and great systems that allow the team to be successful. So that is one piece or a couple pieces out of talking with Eddie. And then I interviewed some other top performers. And what I loved about this was each one of these agents that I spoke with, and again, it doesn't need to be about real estate, but they were all specializing in something. And yes, it was real estate, but they were specializing in that zone that they were comfortable in when it came to the game of real estate. Maybe for you, it's another business. Maybe it's construction, and you're specializing in a specific area of construction or a specific area of sales or a specific area of building something. You're an entrepreneur, and you need to now understand your lane. And this is the key I want you to hear. This is what I really want you to hear. Sometimes we can be too busy in too many lanes. Too busy in too many lanes, and you just do an okay job in each one of those lanes. Be specific. Know your avatar. And again, coming back to the coaching of scientific scaling, it is all about knowing who you and then picking an avatar, choosing the person you want to work with each and every day, or choosing the lane that you want to be in every single day. Don't try to be in too many lanes because you'll do just an okay job. And nobody likes okay. Nobody even likes good. They want you to be great. Jim Collins talks about this, good to great. You have to be great for you to stand out amongst the others. And gosh, who doesn't want to be great? If you're going to do it, be great. Don't just be good. Be great. And so the interviews that I had with three amazing agents, Ben Oriole, Christina Legault, and Ted Cockwell, all had specialty lanes in the game of real estate. It's real estate. You think, well, I'll just serve and help anybody. No, they were so specific in who they served, who their avatar was, and that was the beauty of it. And they didn't always know this, at least I'm going to talk about Ben. First of all, Ben was on my own real estate team for years and years and years. And he honed his skill, but then he moved on off the team and he said, I want to just serve one specific client in one little geographical pocket. Think about that. He didn't want to serve the entire world. He didn't want to serve the entire community. He wanted to serve one small area of a community, of a city, and then he wanted to serve just one avatar or one specific client in that area. And he chose luxury. Him and his partner Jeff chose luxury. And they are killing it. See, by being so specific, they own roughly 30% of that market in that specific area. Think about that. One in every three homes, roughly, they serve. One in every three sellers or buyers they serve in that marketplace. Pretty incredible. Imagine having a 30% market share in anything. Outstanding, outstanding. And how did they do that? They were so specific. And one of the things that Ben shared with me, which was really, really an eye-opener for many people in the room, was the product knowledge. What do I mean by that? Product knowledge. Back in the days when I worked in the sports shop, we call it PK, product knowledge. And we had the reps come in with their various gear. So if we were selling high-end ski equipment, high-end skis, they would come in and they would describe every little piece of each ski that they were representing for us to sell. And by us knowing all the details about that ski, we had the product knowledge then to share it with the customer. And that was so important. What's the ski? What's the specialty of the ski? What's the materials in the ski? Why is the materials in the ski? Why is the flex this? Why is the torsion rigidity this? And that was the important thing at that. But Ben talked about understanding the build of a high-end home, a luxury home. What goes into a luxury home? The quality of the product. What is, the most significant pieces that are going into that home, and understanding all of the product that would go into the home and why they choose this and why they choose that. And then understanding the people that are doing it, the designers, the architects, the builders, and really knowing every piece. Because think about this. If somebody's coming to you and they're looking to buy a luxury home, whatever luxury market you're in, that could be, in your market, could be $1 million. In another market, it might be 10 million. In another market, it might be $100 million. But you need to know everything about that market, because when the real deal comes along, the seller, the buyer comes along, you know what is in that product knowledge. And so this is how they understood and how they've developed their incredible 30% market share in that marketplace, is because they know their product so well. They're not winging it, so to speak. So understanding your market is really important. Product knowledge is really important. That was a great takeaway from Ben. Christina Legault moved to a city called Chilliwack. Didn't know a soul. Came from accounting. Think about that. Sitting at a computer screen, crunching numbers. And now she's in the people business. People business. Actually, we're all in the people business. We have to be in the people business. We have to be able to talk to people. But what was really an interesting takeaway from Christina was the fact that from one crappy building and one crappy listing that she didn't even have herself, she did an open house for another agent. She has produced over 50. In fact, I think she mentioned she was already at 60 plus sales from that one crappy listing in a really awful building in the worst part of town. Think about that. Taking a crappy listing. I mean, who would do that? No. I'm above that. No, I'm way above that. I can't do an open house in a crappy condo that's got a $60,000 levy and there's too many what ifs in it. I just want to have a really nice place. I want to go sell something nice. No, she took that crappy opportunity and turned it into 60 deals since then. So you don't need to have a shiny, beautiful object to be incredible. And she saw the value and the opportunity, and she just kept running with it. And she was just so honest with people about the quality of the building and what was happening. And now, she's made 60 plus deals in a very, very short period of time. That's, I think, over about 3.5, 4 years, she's done that. Isn't that incredible? So Here's the quote of the conference. Opportunity is knocking on everybody's door. Knock, knock, knock. And opportunity knocked on Christina's door. And she says, I'm going to take this. But here's the deal. Opportunity knocks on everybody's door, but it doesn't always come in. See, opportunity is asking you the same question. Are you worthy? Are you worthy for me to enter your world? Opportunity, are you ready to enter my world? That's what it's asking me. And I have to be curious, ambitious, tenacious. I need to be open to the opportunity. Are you open to the opportunity? And Christina was. And of course, then opportunity welcomes itself in and it says, I'm ready to stay in your world because I want to be in your world, Randy or Christina. Opportunity is knocking on everybody's door. Are you going to open it? Are you going to invite it in and give it what it deserves? You. Are you going to give yourself to the opportunity? So that was a great takeaway from Christina. And then Ted, oh my goodness, Ted comes all the way up from Saskatoon to Vancouver. And Ted's just Mr. Positivity. He just comes, he's just glowing with opportunity and positivity. And he just generates that. And you can just see it when he enters the room. And so I just so appreciate Ted. But Ted does something really unique. He says, the market is really my world. The world is my market. He is from Saskatchewan and he services the entire province of Saskatchewan. And what he does is he specializes in agricultural sales, ag sales. And here's the really cool takeaway. You know, we think we have to do it a certain way. When somebody says, this is the way we've always done it, question it. Question what you think is always the way we need to do it. When somebody says that, there's got to be a creative, a better, a more meaningful way to do it. And so Ted has done that. See, in our world, and if you're not a realtor, you would get this because when you call an agent, you expect them to show up at your property, your home, your business, and walk your way through the process of helping and serving them. Well, Ted does most of his business from his office. He lists property all over Saskatchewan, which is a massively big province, from his office. He rarely meets face-to-face with his client. Think about that. He rarely meets face-to-face, at least not in person, but he does it over Zoom. He does it over phone calls. And again, he understands his product knowledge, again, really important. And he has all of the work. He uses satellite systems, drones, all of that to be basically on the piece of property. He's got soil samples and all that because that's so important to the agricultural world. But anything that's important to the agricultural world, he then applies it and does that from anywhere in Saskatchewan from his office. Pretty incredible. So again, challenge the norm. Always challenge the norm. And you know, I'm going to pump on this a little bit. You know, of course, there's the tariff talk. There's Trump. There's this. There's that. Business is struggling. Of course, our economy is challenged right now. But I'm going to say this is one of the biggest opportunities that we have. When you lean in and you embrace what's happening in the world, that is when greatness can happen. See, when it's going well, everybody's okay. But when it gets challenging, here's the underdog, here's the DNA, here's the cat. Curious, ambitious, tenacious, decisive next action, the underdog DNA, the spirit within. That all comes forward. And the creativity that you have to muster to do things in a challenging market is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens, people. And so I'm so excited that it is challenging. I've been through many markets. I know I've been licensed as an agent for 33 years. I've seen a few cycles. And every time there's a cycle, yes, there's a flushing of the dead wood, so to speak. It pushes out the people that are not supposed to be in the business. that are struggling anyways. And then when this happens, they move out. Sorry to say that, but that's what happens. But what happens is the cream rises to the top. And are you going to be the cream? Are you going to be creative? Are you going to see new ways to do things in a challenging market? Are you willing to be curious, ambitious, tenacious? Because, you are supposed to be the expert. You are supposed to be the authority. Are you? And are you going to serve and help? And sometimes it means that you're not making money, but you're just serving and helping. But this is what is unique about the giver, the go-giver, or what I call the way finder. Are you a way finder? You find a way to serve. You find a way to make it work. You find a way to serve, make, and get shit done. Are you a wayfinder? Ask yourself that. And so those are some of the great takeaways from the event. And it was just a fabulous, fabulous day of learning, serving, and speaking. I want to close with one last thought. And boy, there's so many great reads out there, but I've got this one read by Robert Greene, The Daily Laws. And I have to do a shout out to a friend of mine named Sabaj. Sabaj put me onto this book. And every day there is one law for the day, the daily law. And it is so, so powerful. It is so powerful. And today, the gift of our original mind is the chapter. The gift of our original mind. And it talks about, we're born with this creativity. And I come back to this all the time. The greatest gift that we have is curiosity. Yet somewhere along the way, we just park it on the shelf. And why do we do that? Why do we do that? Remember when you were a kid? Daddy, mommy, what about this? What about that? And they said, shut up. Stop asking so many questions. Yet that is how we learn. That is how we get, curious and advance our minds and advance things for ourselves and, of course, for the world. And yet we park this. But our original mind, what we were born with, is all about that, revealing things, which is the potential of the world. And I'm just going to read a little bit here. The human mind is naturally creative, constantly looking to make associations and connections between things and ideas. It wants to explore, to discover new aspects of the world, and to invent. We're supposed to be inventors. Are you the next Albert Einstein? You may. It may be your genius, but yet you're parking it. Stop parking it. Put it into top gear. Let's go. To express this creative force is our greatest desire, and the stifling of it, the source of our misery. What kills the creative force is not age or lack of talent, but our own spirit and our own attitude. We become too comfortable with the knowledge we have gained. We grow afraid of entertaining new ideas and the effort that is required. So stop it. To think more flexibility entails a risk. This is the key. This is why we park it, because we're afraid of the risk. We could fail and be ridiculed. Oh my goodness. We prefer to live with a familiar idea and the habits of thinking, but we pay a steep price for this. Our minds go dead from the lack of challenge and novelty. We reach a limit in our field and lose control over our fate because we become replaceable. Stop doing this. It's okay to be ridiculed. It's okay. But think of the opportunities. Think about how you were born to be an inventor. That is what I want you to say or think of when you think of your original mind. Go back to your original mind as a child. And here's the daily law. Do what the mind wants to do. Explore, entertain, and embrace new ideas. Hey, thanks for watching Return on Life today. It has been a powerful session. I want you to go and get it and be a cat. Curious, ambitious, tenacious. I don't mean just any cat, a cool cat. You are a cool cat. Go get it. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in to Return on Life. I'm Randy Dyck here. And if you like what you're hearing here, you've got to hit the subscribe button today. We're on all the platforms. Be there. Let's go.